Aloha and welcome to our Sangha members, friends, visitors to the Hawaii Betsuin's 9:30 Sunday service. I'm Sekine. I will be your MC for this morning's service. We will begin the service with the Kansho, or the ringing of the bell. The bell is symbolic of Buddha's voice calling people to come together to listen to the teachings. As the bell calls, let us quietly reflect upon Amida Buddha's great wisdom and compassion. During the Kansho ringing, please remain seated, and during the entrance of the ministers, also remain seated. It is hoped that sitting quietly helps you to reflect more deeply. Good morning again. Welcome to our Dana Awareness Day service. Dana is a Sanskrit word meaning selfless giving, and here at Hawaii Betsuin Project, Dana volunteers provide compassionate support to our kupuna and their caregivers. The Hawaii Betsuin Choir will offer a prelude this morning entitled Because You Are There, to honor our Project Dana volunteers who exemplify Dana in action. The choir will be directed by Ms. Mari Murakami and accompanied by Mr. Francis Okano. Please enjoy.
All in me.
Thank you so much, Hawaii Betsuin Choir. Proceeding to today's service, the service order is the Vandana and Tisarana, Sutra chanting Sanbutsuge, Unison reading the Creed 1, singing of the Gatha, Do You Really Care? Ms. Sharyn Sekine will share her Dharma message. And by the way, this is coincidence, yeah? Not planned. After the message, we will sing the Gathas, Wake Up and Nembutsu. If you are able to at this time, please rise. Let's start today's service by chanting Vandana Tinti Sarana, led by Reverend Blaine Nakasone Sakata. Please open the service book to page 7 or look at the screen. Thank you. You may be seated. Today's Sutra chanting is the Sanbutsuge. Please open your service book to page 46, or you can also look at the screen. The Sanbutsuge, or Praises of the Buddha, appears in the first volume of the Sutra on the Buddha of Immeasurable Life. In this Gatha, Bodhisattva Dhammakara, who became Amida Buddha in the beginningless past, praises the discourse on the Dharma and the brilliantly majestic appearance of his teacher, Buddha Lokisvararaja, Bodhisattva Dharmakara expresses his desire to become a Buddha, overflowing with wisdom and compassion. Also, he vows that he will save all beings who are suffering in the world of delusion, enabling them to be born into the Pure Land, having no regret even if it would mean sinking into the poisonous swamp of suffering and pain himself. If you're able to, please rise to recite the Creed 1. You can find that in your service book on page 2, or you may look at the screen. We rely upon Amida Tathagata with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come, abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our limited self. We believe that the assurance of birth comes at the very moment we entrust, and we call the name Namu Amida Butsu in joy and gratitude for the Buddha's compassion. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and the succeeding masters who have led us to believe in this profound teaching. And we do now endeavor to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. If you're able to, please remain standing to sing Do You Really Care? The lyrics will be projected on the screen.
Yeah.
may be seated. At this time, Hawaii Betsuin Project Dana Coordinator Joe DesMarets will introduce our guest speaker, Mrs. Sharyn Sekine.
Thank you, Dennis. I want to welcome all of you to our annual Dana Awareness Day, and thank you for sharing your morning with us. Before I introduce Sharyn, I just want to say that she called me last night to confirm that I had received the biography that she sent to me so I could share with you this morning. And as I read through it, I noticed she didn't mention Dennis. And so I said, Sharyn, you didn't say anything about Dennis in your bio. Is he your secret? And she said no, that I could add him. So it is with great pleasure that I add Dennis to Sharyn's biography. Sharyn grew up about a mile from Hawaii Betsuin in Paoa Valley and started attending temple from intermediate school until a few years after high school. After some time away from the temple, she returned with her family so her children could attend Dharma school. From then on, she served as Dharma school teacher for over 15 years, a director of the Betsuin's board of directors. After retirement, she became more involved in the BWA, serving as president of the Hawaii Betsuin BWA from 2010 to 2012, and as president of the Honolulu United BWA from 2020 to 2021. She has 2 children. This is where Dennis comes in. She has 2 children, daughter Michelle and son Jason, and 2 grandchildren, ages 18 and 16, all living in Southern California. And she resides in Honolulu with her husband, Dennis. At this time, I'd like to welcome Ms. Sharyn Sekine. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a little slow moving around. Good morning, and thank you all for giving me the privilege and honor to be your Dana Awareness Day speaker. When I was asked to be your speaker, I was hesitant because I didn't think I had anything profound to say since I don't consider myself to be highly knowledgeable about Buddhism. My message doesn't contain any new or profound messages, but it's really my personal feelings and understanding of the meaning of Dana. As was mentioned earlier, as you know, Dana is a Sanskrit word meaning selfless giving, giving or sharing with others with no strings attached and with no expectations of receiving anything in return. I'd like to share how Dana or offering is explained in Mahayana Buddhism in this book, Learning the Wisdom of Enlightenment, a free publication from Bukkyo Dento Kyokai, or BDK. In Mahayana Buddhism, there are 6 practices, or as we know them, 6 paramitas, and for reaching the other shore of enlightenment. The most important and first practice is offering to others, or dana. It is an offering that Mahayana Buddhists are supposed to carry out daily. It is important that the offering is done without any sense of pride or vanity. As it is explained in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, quote, if one gives away a gift when it is convenient to do so, or because it is easier to give than not to give, it is an offering, of course, but it is not a true offering. A true offering comes from a sympathetic heart before any request is made. It is not a true offering if after the act there are feelings of regret or self-praise. A true offering is one that is given with pleasure, forgetting not only oneself as the giver, but also the one who gives it, but also the one who receives it, as well as the gift itself. A true offering springs spontaneously from one's pure, compassionate heart with no thought of any return, unquote. There are 3 kinds of offerings in the 6 paramitas. They are material offerings, which are money or goods, Dharma offerings, which involves sharing of the Buddha's teachings and knowledge with others, and offerings of fear elimination, which is to eliminate anxieties and fears by standing with suffering people, listening to their problems, and staying with them to the end. The offering of fear elimination is surely the most important and best kind of offering. To illustrate true offering or true dana, I'd like to share two stories that have made the news early this year. Some of you may have heard these stories, but please allow me to share them again. I heard this first story in January of this year as I was driving and listening to National Public Radio, or NPR. As it goes, one day in a small town of Geraldine, Alabama, a humble and kind farmer by the name of Hody Childress asked the local pharmacist if there was anyone who had trouble paying for their medications. Upon learning that there were many who could not afford to pay, he quietly handed her a folded up $100 bill and asked her to use it to help anyone in town who could not pay for their medications, and he asked her not to tell a soul. She thought it was a one-time thing, but to her surprise, he came in on the first of every month for over a decade, quietly sliding a folded up $100 bill so no one could see what he was doing. He didn't want any credit or recognition. Holy Childress never missed a month, and the fund continued to grow. The pharmacist estimated that he contributed about $10,000 over those years to help pay for other people's pharmacy bills. As he dealt with a chronic illness and he no longer was able to leave his home to make his monthly $100 contribution, he told his daughter about his private mission and asked her to deliver the $100 and not tell anyone about it. Sadly, on January 1st of this year, at the age of 80, Hody passed away, and his daughter asked the pharmacist to share her father's story. This story made the national news, and because of it, his family, friends, admirers, even recipients of the fund, and total strangers are now contributing to the fund so this good deed can continue for years to come. The next story I'd like to share happened close to home here on Maui. It also made our local news and also made the national news in USA Today. An elderly vacationing couple, Dan and Sheila Kane from Tennessee, became stranded for hours on the road to Hana after sustaining a flat tire. Instead of making the trip via a tour bus as was recommended, and despite being discouraged by 3 people to not go on this journey, they felt they could handle it and rented a car and proceeded with their road trip. After a tight squeeze encounter with a minivan on a narrow part of the road, they realized that a tire was torn, so they pulled over to a service area. In this isolated area with no cell phone service, they soon discovered that they also had no spare tire. They were now stranded at about 5:30 p.m. They talked to a couple of people who were nice and wished them well, but not one of them thought about calling for help for them. Luckily for them, a state park's caretaker working nearby was taking a break, and he had heard the clunk, clunk, clunk of their car. Dan Kane approached the man, William Latham, for help. Latham traveled 5 miles to make a call for a tow truck. He drove back and informed them that someone was on their way. Then he went back to work about 20 miles away, but later checked back on them at around 8 o'clock p.m. They were still stranded. The tow truck had not arrived yet, so he remained with them and chatted with them, and they soon became good friends. Latham even invited them to spend the night at his house, but they opted to wait with their car until the tow truck finally came at 11:30 p.m. During this long wait, Latham, who had also called the police, made trips home to bring the Kanes food and water. The Kanes feel like William Latham was a guardian angel who was watching out for them. They were so grateful that there are still people in the world who will go the extra mile, and they felt very blessed to have met him. In gratitude, Sheila wrote a letter to Hawaii's Department of Land and Natural Resources, expressing how grateful they were for Latham's kindness, how he kept them company until nearly midnight as they awaited the tow truck in the rain. Latham said, quote, "They were an elderly couple in the middle of nowhere, and I just felt like I had to be there for them," unquote. This last story I'd like to share hits even closer to home and did not make it in the local or national news. It is actually a personal story, my story of how a complete stranger helped me in a time of distress and need. It happened over 40 years ago in the late 1970s when I went back to work while our daughter attended preschool and I was able to leave our toddler son at the Fort Shafter Nursery. I was working as a long-term substitute teacher for a teacher on maternity leave at Pohakea Elementary School in Eva. One day, while on my way home, my car suddenly stalled, and I pulled over to the side of the road near an intersection among the cane fields of Eva. You have to remember, back then, we didn't have cell phones, and Eva was undeveloped with cane fields all around. I had no way of contacting anyone. So what do? Luckily for me, as soon as I had pulled over, a car stopped and a gentleman offered me his help. He informed me that he was a military helicopter mechanic, so he looked under the hood of my car, assessed the problem, and did a temporary fix so my car would work. He told me that he could do a better fix with appropriate tools he had at home and asked that I follow him to his house in the military housing down the road. Realizing that I was apprehensive about doing that, he reassured me that it would be fine since his son was in the car with him and they were on their way home. To my surprise, I felt I could trust him and followed him to his home. He did more tinkering with my car and told me I could now drive it home without any problem, but that I would have to get it properly repaired. As I was leaving and expressing my gratitude, he told me that if his wife were stranded just like me, he would hope that there was someone who would stop to help her just like he did. Thanks to this complete stranger who was kind and caring, I was able to get out of a bad situation and get home safely. I share these three stories because they are good examples of the ultimate form of offering of fear elimination. In these stories, the three men stood by with suffering people, listened to their problems, and stood by them until the end. They did it because they cared about the suffering of another person, and out of empathy and kindness for a fellow human, did what they could to help them. These are exemplary stories of Dana, and I'm not sharing them to say that we all have to do exemplary deeds like this. I believe that we all do our share of big or small Dana deeds every day in many different forms. I share these three stories because it gives us hope and reassures us that there are many good, kind, and caring people in this world. The common form of dana that most of us do is giving money or things to others, like charitable organizations who help disadvantaged or distressed members of our community, to organizations helping our environment or conservation efforts, to organizations working for a social cause, and even to our temples. But there is more to dana. There are other non-material offerings, such as extending kindness to friends or strangers, sharing a comforting smile or speaking kind words to others, even extending a good morning or good day to those you don't know, opening a door for a stranger or carrying things for someone, donating blood, volunteering in your community, school, or temple. Among them, the offering of heartfelt words is one of the basic virtues in Buddhism. Dogen, founder of the Soto School of Zen, said, quote, "Kind words have a power that can turn everything around," unquote. Just looking out among those of you present here, I recognize that there are many of you who extend dana in so many different ways. Here at Betsuin, we have a husband and a wife team who used to deliver meals to the elderly for Hawaii Meals on Wheels for over 25 years. Our BWA has supported Family Promises Ohana Dinner Program, their holiday gift card drive, their school supply drive, and currently their wish list program. But most recently, I'm sure most or every one of you empathize and sympathize with the people of Lahaina who suffered tremendous losses from the recent Maui wildfire disaster and felt an immediate desire to help them in some way. Our ongoing Hompa Honganji Mission's Maui Wildfire Disaster Relief Fund has received an outpouring of support from all over the world, including the mainland United States, Canada, and Japan. The fund has already collected $400,000 since its establishment on August 10th, and I'm sure it's still growing. These are just a few examples of how our Honganji members here extend aloha and dana within our communities, and I'm sure there are many more examples of dana offerings from our members that we're unaware of. I believe all of you here also volunteer at our temple in one or more ways, like planning and working at temple events, serving as directors for our temple board, or even serving as officers, donating and serving refreshments after services, cleaning and maintaining our temple, being a Project Dana volunteer, participating in the service as an organist or pianist, as an MC, as a technology assistant, or as a choir member. You all extend dana in your own ways, and you practice it often without expecting any recognition or acknowledgement or any kind of compensation. All of our dana actions reinforces in me what I believe is a source of our dana actions. To me, dana comes from a kind, compassionate heart, from a heart that feels for and cares for others, from a heart that shares aloha and wanting to help. Dana is acts of big or small kindnesses, having empathy or sympathy for others, wanting to ease a person's discomfort or sorrow, wanting to make others feel welcomed and accepted, and letting them know that things will be okay. Dana is also rooted in our belief in interdependency. Our thoughts, words, and actions affect others, which can make a difference in someone's life. Dr. Carl Becker said at last year's Hawaii Betsuin's Bodhi Day service, quote, "Share a little kindness. Your little kindness can change someone's day," unquote. So every day, show your aloha, show you care, help where help is needed, and share a little kindness humbly. In closing, I'd like to share a quote from this Peanuts cartoon. I'm sorry I couldn't put it on the projector. Okay. This shows Charlie Brown walking with Snoopy in the pouring rain and extending his umbrella to prevent Snoopy from getting wet. And it reminds us, to make a difference in someone's life, you don't have to be brilliant, rich, beautiful, or perfect. You just have to care. Thank you again for joining me this morning. Ahui ho kako. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Mrs. Sekine. Wonderful message. If you are able to, please rise. Open your Gatha book, the white one, entitled Sing Namo Amida Butsu, to page 148. We will sing the Gatha Wake Up. Let us also sing the Gatha Nembutsu after that. Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have any guests that need to be introduced? Or some of us that don't come that frequently, sometimes we don't get recognized. All right, thank you. I have a few announcements. Next Sunday, October 22nd, is our regular Sunday service, and it will be at 9:30 a.m. here at the main temple. Please join us to listen to Reverend Charlene Kihara's Dharma message. On October 21st, Saturday, there will be a 2023 Pride Parade, which Oahu and Honolulu district temples will be participating in. The parade will start from Magic Island at 9 in the morning. If you have any questions, please contact Steve Lose. Also, please come out to share the joy of our community together. Both the Hompa Honganji Mission of Hawaii, I'm not sure why it said both there. Hompa Honganji Mission of Hawaii is still continuing the Maui Wildfire Disaster Relief Fund, as well as the Honganji member Kerry Kubota's business Our Garden Collective, selling Lahaina Honganji sticker packs, efforts to continue supporting our Maui Ohana. And lastly, here at the Betsuin, we are starting to accept Hawaii Betsuin Board nominations for anyone interested on serving on the Hawaii Betsuin Board of Directors. Anyone interested can email Betsuin Secretary Steve Lose at lohse@hawaii.edu. lohse@hawaii.edu. We will be having an election this coming November. Are there any other announcements? Oh, yeah. Okay. After Dave.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Dennis mentioned that we're going to have a contingent in the Honolulu Pride Parade this coming Saturday. And to get ready for that, we're also going to do a sign-making session for those who would like to join together to paint your signs or get inspiration from other people who are going to be carrying signs. So we're going to have that in the dining room on Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 8. We'll be there a little before to set up, and we have a little bit of leeway after that period of time too. So the dining room, if you're not familiar with it, is if you park in the back parking lot and you come down the stairs right towards the, kind of on the right side, but instead of taking the ramp, if you take the stairs right down, you'll end up at the dining room door. So, and there's also an elevator access too. So please contact me, Dave Atchison, or Steve Lose if you have questions. And we hope that some of you will join us and paint some signs. So thank you.
Thanks, Dave. And finally, downstairs, after you get your refreshments, we do have a few copies of this book. It's called The American Samurai World War II in the Pacific. It's the story of the Military Intelligence Service, the MIS. It's written by a gentleman named Pierre Moulin from Bruyères, if I'm not mistaken. We have a few limited copies here, so only pick it up if you're really, really super interested in that. So, American Samurai World War II in the Pacific, the story of the Military Intelligence Service, downstairs. This concludes the Sunday service. Thank you very much to Mrs. Sharyn Sekine for her wonderful message. Thank you to Mr. Francis Okano for playing the organ and the piano for the choir. Thank you to the Hawaii Betsuin Choir for offering today's prelude. Thank you also to Mr. Dave Atchison, Mr. Wayne Yoshioka, Mr. Alan Kubota, Ms. Irene Nohara, Ms. Andrea Lomax for the help with the audiovisual for today's service. Please join us downstairs for refreshments and fellowship in the social hall. Thank you again for coming to today's service. Have a good day.